be in the spotlight? Are you ready to share your story with the world? Well, Snails with No Shells is where you need to be. Available on all digital platforms, Facebook, and YouTube. Snails with No Shells. Leave that shell at the door. Greetings, beautiful ones. I am Ms. BJ Martin, and this is Snails with No Shells. Leave that shell at the door. That is my only rule in this room. All right, now let's get into it. I have an amazing guest on the show this evening. I can't wait to get her on stage. Let me bring her on out. Winona L. Thomas.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be on the show today. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right, so we're going to get into it. This is Winona L. Thomas. Multi-talented, Winona L. Thomas is a certified professional author coach. That's different. We're going to definitely talk about that.
Okay.
And is seen as one of Metropolitan Detroit's rare treasures, known for her many accomplishments, including founder of Kira's Publishing LLC and Authors on the Rise Medium platform, a magazine, talk, and radio show host and producer, author of 5 inspirational books, writer of inspirational poetry, articles, prayers, reflections, and thematic plays. It says Kira's Publishing was birthed out of Winona's own personal struggle of trying to get her first book published. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so Winona.
Yes.
Where were you born and raised?
So I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I've loved the state of Michigan. I do a little bit of traveling, but I can't think of any other place I would want to live right now.
Really? What about the snow?
The snow, yes. Sometimes I have my good moments and my bad moments with the snow. Long as it doesn't get too cold and ice. I don't like the ice. But other than that, Michigan, Detroit area is a great place to be.
Awesome. And so what was it like growing up in Detroit?
Well, I am the oldest of 2 sisters and 1 brother. So growing up, we had a lot of fun. You know, it's not like today with how the kids today are growing up, where there's a lot of technology that they have, and that takes up a lot of their time. So growing up, we didn't have all of the technology, so we played amongst ourselves. You know, we created fun out of boxes. You know, we would be in the basement, you know, and just tossing each other around in the box. And so just growing up playing jump rope and hopscotch with the other neighborhood girls, and riding bikes and roller skating. So, I really feel kind of bad for our young people today because they didn't have that type of experience of, going outside and playing and just having fun and not being bogged down with all of the technology and that's happening with our young people today.
Yes. Awesome. And that's true. That's true. They're in the house a lot. We had
Yes,
to be outside. Like no one wanted to be in the house was punishment. That was terrible. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yes,
So they're in
yes.
the house a lot more. It's definitely a different time for
Yeah,
sure.
it is. Yes.
Definitely. So you were okay with all that, the winters and the snow? Because I was born and raised in Cincinnati.
Okay.
So yeah, so I know about the snow and the cold, but I've been in Atlanta like almost 30 years, so I do
Wow.
not miss that cold
Oh,
weather.
okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm okay. But when temperatures start dropping down to 1, 2, 0 below
right,
zero, then
right.
yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. Nobody wants to be outside in that type of cold.
Right. Okay, next question, Winona. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, this is a little story I don't share too often, but when I was in the ninth grade, I had a journalism class. It was my favorite class. And so I knew right then and there, I had told myself, I said, I want to go into journalism when I go to college. And as quickly as I made that statement, I told myself, you can't do that because you procrastinate too much. And so I never pursued it. But what happened was, and this is how it was confirmed that this is an area that God was really calling me into because once I, developed a relationship with God, He just began to put doors in front of me where I started to my writing books and he also put media in front of me. Ministry doors were open for media opportunities that came along, and I had my own talk show and radio show. So through when I think about my journey, I thank God because even though I never pursued it, but God just made a way to make sure that I still was able to get in that door of media and broadcasting arts. So that's really what I wanted to do. Wanted to be when I grew up, but I just kind of took a different path to get there.
Okay, so did you that's really cool. Because I've heard some very interesting answers. I've heard astronaut, I've
Okay.
heard assassin, I've heard I've heard nurse.
Uh-huh.
I've heard so many answers, and I actually interviewed a sports journalist a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I think I saw a piece of his interview
yeah,
actually.
Andre,
Yes.
yeah. So that's interesting. So another melanated female journalist. I love
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you said this is something that you knew you wanted to do from high school, and then you told yourself I procrastinate.
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't do it. So what did you wind up doing instead at first?
Well, what I ended up doing is I ended up in the healthcare arena.
Okay.
So, working with like medical billing claims and just going from healthcare system to healthcare system. So that was like my first skill set that I developed. But behind the scenes, no one knew, and really to this day, a lot of people still don't know is that behind the scenes I had a whole nother skill set
Mhm.
that I was building and working on, and that was the media arts, the writing, the teaching. So I was building and developing a whole nother skill set, and so I'm keep moving forward and keep pushing because one day I know that that is going to be my primary skill set. So, and I believe that's the area where God uses me.
Okay. Now, did you go to school for any of this? Were you self-taught or?
Actually, I did go to school for health in the healthcare industry, so I do have a bachelor's degree. But as far as media, I never had any formal training. As the doors open, I just walk through the doors.
Yes, I love that. I
Yes,
love that. That's our God. That's how he lets you know I'm doing this.
yes,
You
yes,
will give me the credit, and you will tell everyone that
yes,
I did it. Right,
yes.
right. That way you can't say you did. No,
That's
no.
right.
I
That's
love
right.
that. Okay, so let's get into. Let me see what I want to talk about first. Let's get into your publishing company.
Okay.
It says that you had because your own personal struggle and something about going to court. So
Yeah.
what happened with that? With what was the birth of Kira's publishing?
So the birth of Kira's Publishing was due to my own struggle as becoming a first time author. And I was working with a particular publishing company. It was more because I had did all of the lead work. I had pretty much self published my first book. So I went to this particular company because I needed the book actually printed. So they did a little bit of the editing for me. And of course, there was a fee, so I paid the fee and everything was going good. And then all of a sudden, the communication just stopped. So everything was paid, but as far as when I'm trying to follow up, there was no communication. So I'm like, okay, what's happening here? And so I would reach out to the person, no response. I would see them on Facebook, interacting with other people. I would try to reach out to that person, no response. So I never forget, one day I was on Facebook, I sent them a private message, and the message, I can't remember it verbatim, but in a nutshell, I questioned their integrity.
Right.
And it was that message there that I got a response.
Mm-hmm.
And so by that time, I was so frustrated with the whole process. I just wanted to hurry up, get the book done, get it out. So the vision that I had of kind of being excited that this is my first book, it kind of dwindled down because of this communication barrier. And so because of that, I decided that I wanted to position myself as someone that would be a resource for up and coming authors. Because what happened was I started meeting a lot of authors. They had questions. These were first time authors. They had questions like, what are their next steps? Where do I go from here? And so because of my journey and being able to self-publish my book, I wanted to position myself as someone that could answer their questions, that could help them and give them the resources to get them to the next step. So that was the birthing of Kira's Publishing. So that's what we do today. Our primary focus is working with aspiring authors and helping them to develop their manuscript, because what I noticed with a lot of new authors, they just write.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand, the format of the manuscript, the flow of the message. They just put it all out there on paper and then submit it. So I work with a lot of them new authors to help them to develop their manuscript so that there's a flow, there's a format, and that their message is being heard once their audience picks up their book.
Mm-hmm. And that's all right. And see, you had to go through that. You had to go through that experience to know what it's like to kind of be left out there in the dark, and that's a shame, because, we really want to, as authors, we're very excited. As you put all your hard work and effort into this book, your sweat and tears, you sometimes procrastination, right? Sometimes that you're working on it, you put it to the side. You got to go cook, whatever you got to do. You got to go to work, so when you finally get it, you finally get it typed up and, you're ready now. Like I finally did it.
Yes.
Just go through that. So that's great. That's great. And so what's the name? Where the name come from?
Kira is my daughter's name. Her name is Shakira.
Okay.
So I just shortened it and named it Kira's Publishing.
Oh, that's
Yes.
so
So
beautiful. I know she's happy about that.
yes, well, she's a young lady now. She's in her 20s. So yeah, so she was the inspiration behind the name for Kira's Publishing.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I love it. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, so you have your publishing company, and you wrote. It says five inspirational books. Now, was this before Kira's Publishing, or was this, or after, or do you
Uh,
remember?
this was pretty much after
Okay,
Kira's Publishing.
okay,
So I actually wrote my first book when I was 9 years old. I wrote a prayer book. And then as I got older, I just stopped writing. The writing just stopped. And it wasn't until I developed my relationship with God. And I remember I was in school and I used to have to write these papers. And I noticed that all of my papers would have A's on them. And so I looked at my writing. I said, okay, I'm pretty good. And so the very first book that I wrote, I will never forget when I knew there was something there that I wanted to write, but it wouldn't come out. And then one day I was at work sitting at my desk and God just gave me a poem. So my very first book was a book of poetry, and he would just download poems, or I would have a dream about a vision and that would become a poem. So that was the very first book. And from there, I just kept writing. I tell people my books they represent volumes of my life. And so really when you picking up one of my books, you're reading a piece of my life, a volume of my life that happened during that time period.
Mhm. Oh wow! So you just kept moving, kept
I
it,
kept
kept
it
it moving.
moving. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. You like, okay, we getting them, we getting these downloads. Let's go, let's go.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. I love that. I love that. So, how did you become a author coach? I've never heard that before. What is an author coach?
So I took a certified author's course. It was a to become a life coach, a certified life coach. And
Mhm.
so we could apply that coaching into whatever area that we wanted. So I just decided that because I love to work with authors, that I would become an author's coach
Mhm.
and just work with aspiring authors and coaching them through the process of getting their first book published. So that's something that I kind of, I guess you could say, made up. So,
Well,
um,
hey,
yeah,
you might want to trademark that because that's cool. I like that, and I didn't know that. Yeah, that was a good choice.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, you might want to coin that, trademark it,
Okay.
whatever. Yes, copyright it. I'm telling you,
Yes,
that's
yes.
very creative. I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
Yes, and so, ladies and gentlemen, also Winona is a co-author with me, with myself. We both were in Joy Comes in the Morning. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and talk about the book.
Okay.
We got to give a shout out to our sponsor.
Okay.
Yes. All right. All right. We are back. And yes, Joy Comes in the Morning.
Yes.
It's an amazing book. And like I said, Winona is a co-author, and we had to definitely give a shout out to our sponsor, Joy Comes in the Morning. And yes, I did that commercial. That is what I do as
Wow,
well. I
I
help
love
you
it.
promote your business, your book, whatever you have going on. I'm the one to help you get that out there. Okay.
Wow,
All
yeah,
right.
awesome. I love that commercial.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so how did you, and yes, Vanessa Blackwell, thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you. I was
awesome.
giving her a major shout outs. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Because I was on the project before this one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, joy comes in the morning. So I'm sorry, finding joy in the journey. I'm getting confused. Finding joy in the journey was the first book I was in, and I was in this one as well. So
Oh,
thank you to her. And I've met so many people like yourself.
yeah,
They've been on the
yeah.
platform, so I'm excited. All right, Winona, enough about me.
Okay.
Back into you. So how did you find out about this project?
Well, I was on Facebook. I had decided to get in a couple of authors groups. So I think it's the Black Authors Network.
Mhm.
I saw her post, and one of my goals for this year I had wrote down is that I wanted to be a part of an anthology. So I answered the call, and that's how I became to be a part of Joy Comes in the Morning. And it's been an awesome, awesome journey, meeting so many wonderful co-authors and really just finding a support system. I love the support system that was in the co-authors group in putting this project together.
Okay, so this is your first anthology.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so all right. So how was that experience for you? How was that experience?
It was, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved meeting new people, meeting other authors, and just actually it gave me a front view of what other authors are doing, how they are putting their projects out there, their books out there, and just seeing them. So many doors are just opening up for the other authors, and it really just encouraged me to help me to push and just keep moving forward with my books. And so I really enjoyed it, and I had the awesome experience because I also have a magazine called Authors on the Rise. And
Okay.
so I had pitched an idea to Dr. Vanessa because I wanted to showcase some of the authors. And so some of the co-authors, including Dr. Vanessa, for the May, June, and July issue, they were either featured on the cover or they were featured co-authors inside the magazine. So I did short interviews with them and allowed them to be able to showcase their previous books. So that was really, really an awesome experience. I really enjoyed working with the authors. So it's been a lot of fun. Just the co-authors, the relationships that were developed out of this project. It was pretty amazing.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. So you were the one that did the
Yes,
magazine. Oh,
yes,
see, I'm telling you. Well, when I say if you're ever offered the opportunity to be a part of an anthology, say yes.
yes,
Just like you said, Winona, you answered the call. You said yes. Just say yes. You don't have to know how to write. You don't have to be this acclaimed author or anything like that.
yes.
Just say yes because you get connected with so many people and you have no idea who you're connected to.
That's right.
Get a chance to network and you don't know who's doing what. I had no idea you did a magazine, right? And you didn't
Yes,
even know I had a podcast. And here we
I
are in the
did.
same book.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know what I mean? So you just never know who you're meeting and how far your reach will be. And I think that's amazing. And we are Amazon number
Yes,
one bestsellers.
yes. Awesome, awesome.
So that's very special. I love it. I love it. And I definitely like the camaraderie of
Oh
the
yes, yes,
of the whole experience. And Dr. Vanessa, she's incredible.
yes. She
Um,
is.
she's pretty much, I've interviewed her as well too.
Okay, awesome,
Yeah, and so
awesome.
she's straight up. she's gonna be straight up with you.
Yes,
No,
yes,
she
yes.
don't pull no punches.
That's right. That's right.
That is awesome.
Yes, and you know what? I would anybody that's thinking about writing a book, but they're maybe be a little fearful. The process may be a little bit intimidating, or they just may not know where to begin. I would actually recommend being a part of an anthology to kind of get your feet wet as a new author, because then you will have a front view to see how the publishing process actually begins, and see it from beginning to finish. So I think that's a great way for new authors to kind of get their feet wet, uh, collaborate with other authors, and then that will also encourage you, say, okay, I can do this, and then you're ready for your own book.
Absolutely, and that is so true because I did the anthology, then I wound up on a live show, a Christian show, and
Wow.
then from there I wound up, then the podcast came, not exactly in that order, but it all came from the
Mhm.
anthology.
Wow.
Again,
Yeah.
again, somebody was a host of a show. I didn't know,
Okay.
and so things, because it started from the anthology, and that's why
Wow.
I'm like, man, if you can get in a good one,
Yes. Yes.
and me, I'm a little biased. I mean, Dr. Vanessa, you because of the experience, I'm a 2-time best-selling author.
Wow.
Being with her anthology, so it's been proven, and she always
Yes.
has at least 89, 90 authors like every time. So when something
Wow.
is proven and shown,
Yes.
I can't help but build that up. Like, hey, so
Yeah,
that
that's
is
right. That's
awesome.
right.
That is awesome. So have you since the book, have you done anything else since you become a Amazon a #1 best-selling author? Joy comes in the morning.
Well, I've really been pushing my publishing company, and just putting that out there, to let the new authors, aspiring authors, know that I am available, because that experience also taught me a lot about the publishing process. And so I want to be able to share. I believe in sharing, and what I've learned, turn around and be a blessing to someone else to help pull them up with the knowledge that I've gained. So there is another book in the works. It's not published yet, but I'm going to just use the resources, the information that I've gained for being a part of the anthology to help push this book.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I'm excited, and
Yes.
here, you can always reach out.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Yes. I love what you do. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, and I am, and just ladies and gentlemen, please share these interviews. And that's like one of the greatest supports. Even if you don't buy a book, we would love for you to buy books. But even if you can't, you're not in a position to buy a book, share the interviews, share the information, share the people that are, that are out here writing and doing things. That's it. That we're not asking for much, just share.
Yes. Yes. Because you never know who needs to hear, about this anthology, and how it could possibly change someone's life.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because it was 89 authors. So that's
Yes.
89 different stories. That's
Yes.
89 lives that can be changed, or
Definitely.
or saved, or 89 million people, that they can
Yes.
touch. And so just knowing that I can possibly be a part of that, the bettering of the world,
Yes.
um, that's special to me. That's the kind of mark that I want to leave on this planet.
Yes. Yes.
One that
Awesome.
I played a role in making it a better place.
That's right. That's right. And
So
that's why God gave us, the stories that we have to be able to share, and just be a blessing to someone, because someone is going to be blessed by your story.
Right.
And
And
so,
I didn't get a chance to ask you, Winona, can you give us like a tidbit of your story that you wrote? Just
sure. So, my story that I wrote, because I dealt with grief at a different level. So, and just this year, I had an understanding what God was showing me. There are different types of grief. It may not be just the loss of someone. And so, my experience that I lost people, I lost things that was very close to me. At the time, I had gotten laid off from my job, and in turn that was like a ripple effect. I lost my home, and at that time my daughter was a senior in high school, and then
mm,
also I was dealing with breast cancer. And then, yes, and then I was married at the time of the breast cancer diagnosis, but by the time I went through the treatment, I was separated, getting ready to go through a divorce. So that was the type of loss and adversity that I was going through at the time. But God, He made a way for me to come out of all of those different situations. I sit here today. I'm an 8-year breast cancer survivor. And so, I'm really grateful and thankful for that journey, for that experience, because it taught me a lot. It taught me how to trust God and have faith in God and who He is, and what He will do for you. And so, and knowing that He is a healer. So I learned a lot of lessons that came out of that experience. So that's something that I just wanted to share with everyone, because, you know, I want to let people know that there is a way of escape. Cancer is not a death sentence.
mhm.
So the title of my message in the book is Refined for Resilience. God was taking me through a refining process, because I needed to grow in certain areas. So in order for me to get to the path that He wanted me to get on, I had to go through certain things to get to that path. So it was an awesome journey, and I'm just thankful that I am here to be able to share that part of my life with so many readers.
That is amazing. Wow. Wow.
Yes,
Wow. Well, like they say, if you won't have a testimony if you don't go through a test,
that's
right?
right. That's right. Yes, that's right.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm, mm. You see my glory, but you don't know my
you
story.
don't know
You
my story. Yes, yes,
that's another thing when you're dealing with anthologies. You get to see what people have gone through,
yes,
and it's like, wow. And sometimes you may think like, oh, it was just so terrible. When you read, your chapter, your story, you're like, oh, it may make you more appreciative of, what you've been
yes.
through. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
That's right. Yes.
wow. Wow, Winona,
Yes. So
you're
I just
a superhero.
just thank God that I'm still here. So yes.
Yes, that was a lot to go through. Oh my gosh, someone
Yeah,
else might not have been able to handle that, because
that's right.
mental health is heavy out there, and mental illness and stuff. Wow.
Yes, that's right. Yes. And I
Yeah.
think I was going through so much was happening that I didn't give myself a chance to like take a break and kind of take it all in. I just kept moving. And then I had my daughter at the time, she was 14. So she was starting her first year in high school.
Mhm.
So, she still needed her mother. And
Right.
so that also helped me that, I still had to be a mom no matter what. And then I had a great support system. So all of that played a role in just God keeping my mind through everything. I thank God so much for keeping my mind, because like you said, sometimes it just takes one incident, one traumatic experience to push somebody over the edge. So, I
Yes.
thank God that He kept me through all of that.
Yes. That's amazing. And I'm thankful too because you're here with me today.
Yes, yes.
That is wonderful. That is awesome. Wow. What a story. What a
Amen.
story.
Yes, I thank God.
Hmm. Oh, I enjoyed our time together. This is
Yes.
wonderful. So amazing meeting you. Thank you so much for coming on Snails with No Shells.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad I accepted the invitation because it was nice. It was also meeting you and to see what you do. So, and I thank you for just opening this door for authors, yet another opportunity for authors to come forth. So that's awesome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm honored. Okay, now Winona, before we go, what would you like? Can you give like an encouraging word or a nugget or a quote or something that you live by just for the audience?
Um, One thing that I have always lived by is just treat people the way you want to be treated. And one thing I would say to anybody is no matter the adversity that you go through, whatever the storm is, don't quit. Don't give up on God. Don't throw in the towel because God said that He would never leave you or forsake you. And if He did it for me or for someone else, what you may have heard their testimony or read one of the other stories in the Joy Comes in the Morning book. But God is an on time God, and He will do what He said He's going to do. And so, what He needs for us is to just trust Him and believe who He is. The Bible says, He who comes to God must first believe who He is. So, believe Him, believe His word, and if we don't give up, He's going to come through for us every time.
I love that. I love that. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, and Winona, also tell us how we can get in contact with you because this will be on audio as well. So they'll be
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So you can reach me at my website. It's www.winona. That's WINONA Thomas.com. That's my website. And I'm also on Facebook at Winona L. Thomas. And then I'm also on Instagram at Instagram Winona.Thomas.
Awesome. Well, again, I enjoyed this time. Thank you, my beautiful co-author of Joy Comes in the Morning. I send you so much love and positive energy and just, all that good stuff.
Yes,
And
yes.
so much more. So much more.
Awesome. I received that. And I just wish so much success over your show.
Ooh, thank
That
you.
God just will just take you to the stratosphere, open up doors that you didn't even see coming. Yeah.
Yes, I received that. Yes, thank you. Y'all heard that? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you again. And before we go, what I would like to say is remember, just like the sun, you are necessary. I love you.